It's about the power of co-creating. I do believe that we create the world that we live in. I love what I do, but I'm a physician. That means illness comes to me. Am I co-creating illness for these patients in order to do what I want to do? Am I creating patients? Am I creating illness in order to do what I like to do in my life?
You are an uplifter to the very core of your being. And you are absolutely well-meaning. And we believe that the reason that you are inspired to do the work that you are doing is because there are so many who benefit by the bridge to wellness that you provide. We also know that medicine in general is not emphasizing the condition of wellness as much as it is focused upon the condition of illness. When someone comes to you and they are not in a state of well-being, that's why they have come. What they are actually coming to you for is so that you can help them build the bridges back to well-being. And in order to do that, you must believe more in wellness than you do in illness. And when you know wellness abounds and that illness is the anomaly, then you can build those bridges very effectively, you see. You are not the creator of their illness, but some physicians can be the perpetuator of the illness. And when you think about it, it would not be hard to do that because that's what your business is about. In other words, your business is about helping people to become well, which almost implies that if they are not sick to begin with, and we think that's where your question came from, is it so important to me to have a business that helps people be well that I am a part of what causes them to be sick so that I can then justify the existence of my experience to help them be well? It's not like that at all with you. You are a bridge to well-being. And that's the way we would focus upon it. One day, Esther was shouting at the television because she had been sort of caught unwittingly. She had not been focused and paying attention in the middle of a commercial for cancer some years ago that upset her. And she was still in that place, as so many students of deliberate creation are, where she was feeling tentative about her thoughts and not wanting to think about things like that. And it was not that she felt vulnerable herself, but she was angry at the television's continuing the hammering of the message of illness. And she slammed the remote control down on the sofa and she said, "Don't you know what you all are doing?" And we said to her, "Esther, someday this illness will feel like the word mustard to you. In other words, it won't rile you in this way. It will be something that you say, some like it, some don't. Some participate in it, some don't. But you won't feel this feeling of vulnerability on your behalf or on the behalf of anyone else as well." And then we said to her, "Do not be hard on the medical community because it has risen in answers to the calling of the masses." In other words, if everyone knew what we are presenting here today, that well-being is the dominant order of things, and that if you could just relax and allow that you would thrive in all ways in which you are projecting thought, then of course there would be no place or no need for hospitals or physicians. But everybody does not know that yet, do they? And so as they have their desires from their place of allowing, businesses like yours come into place to assist along the way. And it is all perfectly fine.
How can I try to lead them away into the sense of well-being without either seeming to be without compassion or engendering guilt in the patient who has the illness?
The first thing that we would do is work to help them to understand that you believe in their recovery. And that you believe, no matter what it is, in other words, that you believe in their recovery, and that you believe that the true nature of their physical being is to be well. Now, you understand that, but that's what brought forth the second part of your question, because we know when somebody is not doing well, that's the last moment in time that they really want to hear that they are the creator of their own experience.
Yes, right.
And so when you begin to tell them that they are the creator of their own experience, they'll come up with all kinds of reasons. And so you have to be very talented in your approach in offering this. And so The first thing that you must do is acknowledge that they can be well. And sometimes that's a big step, even for you. It depends upon how much knowledge you hold about what they are experiencing. But that is the most important thing to begin with. You have to believe in their ability to be well. And if we were in your physical shoes, we would spend a great deal of time, at least 15 or 20 minutes in every day, lying in our own bed, in awareness of our own physical body, acknowledging how the well-being flows, feeling the rhythm of well-being, and relaxing as much as you can into the allowing of that well-being. Because as you do that and acknowledge your purposeful and deliberate effort at that, it's easier for you to convey it to others. And then rhetoric starts to pour forth from you that is in keeping with these laws of the universe. And you softly and lovingly, from your place of knowing their potential for wellness, say, we're going to get you back on track. I don't think it'll be so difficult for you to be back on track. I'm getting a good feeling about you. You have the ability to focus or concentrate. And I think this is going to be a rather easy effort that the two of us will experience together. In other words, you're just guiding them softly. You're not punishing them. You see, it's an interesting thing. When you are interacting with someone, as they stand before you in their state of being, the more examinations you do, we've been talking about this all day here today, the more they convince you of their current state of affairs. And if they convince you of their current state of affairs, then you can't help them.
Right.
So all of that scrutiny and all of those tests and all of that stuff that helps you to identify that they're not in the place of well-being just makes you less and less and less and less able to see them in the place of well-being. So that's the bridge that you must jump first. In other words, you have to be able to see them as well. So it goes something like this. You look at them and you know that they're not well. The tests have shown you that. Their past experience has shown you that. They're telling you that. You see that, and then you step back into the virtual reality that you've already been conjuring. You step into this place of virtual reality, and it's easy for you to go there because you've been practicing it. And now your work is to build a bridge from where they seem to temporarily be, that's a really good word, temporarily, where you temporarily are, to where you really are wanting to be and to who you really are. And what you will begin to notice as you help people make those bridges is that those who are even capable of making that transition will be the ones who will begin to come to you. There are some who don't want to make that transition. There are some who are so far from it that they can't anyway, and no amount of effort that you would give them would. And your practice becomes one of attracting those that are upon the brink of that, where you can guide them more easily, you see. It's not your job to go out into the world and find the sickest of people and make them well, because some of the sickest of people, sometimes it's serving them in some way, and sometimes their acknowledgement of the sickness is so permeating the very essence of their being that you could not, if you had 100 lifetimes, guide them from it, you see. But there are many, many more that are in this place that they don't want to be, and they're coming to you just wanting the bridge, and there are so many bridges that you can offer them. We were visiting with a healthcare worker one day who was working in a place where terminal people came to die. And she wanted to know what we would say if we were standing in her shoes. And we gave her a long rhetoric, not so different from what we are giving you here. And she said, "Oh, Abraham, I would be fired if I said those things, because I'm not allowed to give them false hope." And we said, then there is not much for you to give them. In other words, if you can't find a way of believing in their well-being, then you cannot be the offerer of the bridge. See. Talk to us a little bit about where you stand.
I stand mostly for health, and the practice is that cancer happens, severe illness happens.
So, but now let's put that into the perspective of what we've been talking about here today. When cancer happens, what does that mean?
That's just it.
That means something is causing them to tense in a way to disallow the well-being that would be there otherwise. So the releasing of the cancer is about releasing the resistance that's not allowing the wellness. In other words, the thing that we so much want you to hear, and we know that you can hear it, and we know that the evidence of your practice will help you to speak it in words that will be far more meaningful even than the words that are being offered here. If you can accept, and we know you are, that well-being is the order of the day, and that the anomaly is the illness, and then you can speak words that help them to relax, to release their fear of the illness by focusing upon the preponderance of wellness, we think that you would have an amazing transformation no matter what the degree of sickness was in your patient. If you could view anyone and say to them, yeah, I do see some evidence of such and such, but I got to tell you, the overall condition of your body is so much more wellness than it is illness. And I think if we would focus there, that predominance of wellness would prevail.
One of the functions we have, or are supposed to have, is to help people through the transition if they do have to leave. I don't even know whether to use the word dying or not, but to make a transition.
When you as a physician help someone to accept well-being enough that they allow the well-being, whether they allow it in this physical body or whether they have to release this physical body to allow it, it's still the same thing. In other words, they can allow the wellness into this body or they can allow the wellness by leaving this body, but allowing the wellness is what you're assisting them in doing.
That's an eternal.
It is, and sometimes people have to leave the body to believe they can be well because they've practiced being sick in the body for so long. Sometimes people will talk to us about someone that they love very much who seems to be terminally ill. It looks like this illness is going to be what takes them out. And the idea of rooting for their death feels unseemly. In other words, it doesn't seem like it is something that you should do, even though you were really wanting them to be released from this trauma or from this struggle or even from this discomfort. And what we always say is, focus upon the well-being and see them opening and receiving it here or opening and receiving it from non-physical, but focus upon the well-being. And as you focus upon the well-being, what we've noticed is if you can get someone's attention and you can convince them that well-being is the order of the day, there is no illness that will not leave them in the moment that they finally get that. What we think physicians would be very well to teach is relaxing into wellness. And the medical world, especially in the Western world, almost seems to be the opposite. In other words, it's almost like they are frightening you to death.
Yes.
And so, as you say to even the sickest of patients who is sitting before you, well, I have a little bit of an unusual approach, but it works very well for me and it works very well for my patients, is I've decided that I'm going to support you in your wellness rather than support you in your illness. In other words, I understand that your body is more about wellness than it is about illness, and that's where we're going to focus. And as we focus there, then it must be. And it will be. It is our promise to you. Anything else is weird. How is it that you all get so involved in things that have nothing to do with you? The law of attraction is a huge law. In other words, there is so much that is already in place. Your work is to relax and release and allow it to be, you see. So, next time you find yourself thinking, well, I should write one more affirmation, or I should go do one more visualization, or I should do one more virtual reality. I need to do something. I must be doing something wrong, or what I'm wanting would be, we say, what you need to do is chill out. What you need to do is relax. What you need to do is accept that it's not your work. What you need to do is relax and accept that you've done your work. You've asked. The universe is doing its work. It is answering. Your work is to get into this place where you joyfully receive it, which means you can't take score about when it's coming or where it's coming or how it's coming. In other words, you accept in this faith-based attitude, it is coming and all is well. And as you do that, then when you really get there, then it doesn't matter how long it takes. But it doesn't take any time then. In other words, if you could say, I don't care how long it takes, you're there. And then it takes no time. But as long as it matters how long it takes, you're not there and it's going to take a long time. Good. You got that. You all got that. That was really good. Did you write really good? We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It is delicious to come together with those like you who are coming to understand the power of your ability to allow. Life is supposed to be fun, you know. This isn't supposed to be work. It's not something that you're supposed to do, or something that needs to be done, or something that will not get done if you don't do it. This is your creative arena where you are supposed to find things that please you. And in doing so, you please that which you regard as God. There is great love here for you. We are complete.